to get down to business? Join seasoned entrepreneur, community leader, and Army veteran Scott Shalom Klein, who will take you behind the scenes with those who work in America's small business scene and speak with leaders making an impact, creating jobs, and telling their story in entrepreneurship. So let's get down to business. On AM 560, The Answer, here's your host, Shalom Klein.
And indeed, we're all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk all about small business here. Super excited to kick off the program today with former fighter pilot turned high-growth entrepreneur, author, and global authority on human and organizational performance. As the CEO of Afterburner, he leads a team of elite military professionals who take the rigorous combat-proven methodologies of the cockpit and deploy them directly in Fortune 500 boardrooms, advising teams like Google, Microsoft, Pfizer, and the NBA. He has personally built and exited multiple multi-million-dollar ventures, including a humanitarian enterprise with over $200 million in turnover, a record-setting high-rise development, and a major digital transformation initiative. He's the creator of the Flawless Leadership Framework, a system designed to help executives conquer task saturation, convert chaos into clarity, and turn bold strategic intention into immediate operational impact. I welcome to the show, Boo from Afterburner. Welcome to the program, Boo.
Hey, Shalom. Thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be here today. Thank you.
Absolutely. You've spent years operating at the absolute edge of human and technical capability as a fighter pilot. When you transitioned into the private sector, what was the most jarring cultural shock or operational friction you observed in corporate leadership structures?
Easily that what people say doesn't necessarily translate into what they do or what they mean. For the first 2 to 3 years of running a business, I was constantly surprised at how often people would give you an assurance that something was going to happen, and then it just wouldn't happen, or it would fade out, or they wouldn't answer the phone, which is the polar opposite of being a fighter pilot, where no matter who you walk past in a corridor in a squadron, everyone is a known quantity, and they'll either commit 100% to something or say no. And it gives you a very binary kind of way to run your life. And that's how I try and build businesses, to get as close to that as I possibly can.
And in our military careers, we understand that tactical plans rarely survive initial contact with the enemy. At Afterburner, you teach the flawless execution methodology. How does a business leader build a strategy that remains rigid enough to provide clear direction, yet agile enough to absorb unexpected market disruption?
Yeah, I think the simplest way is to think of strategy as a beacon, as a light, where everyone sort of tends towards, but the reality of each day is how you measure the success of that. And to your point, in the military, we understand tactical planning and tactical thinking. That's because we think in terms of what do I need to deliver today to win the whole campaign. That doesn't exist very much in business at all. There's a lot of big intention, big ideas, big aspiration. And then we fall into this trap of freedom to execute. And really what happens is we create businesses that confuse freedom to ideate, to have big ideas and innovate, but actually get nothing done, compared to freedom of execution, which is to be creative about how you do things. So that's the key, is understand that strategy is just an idea. It's just a best guess. But it's the reality of your day-to-day that really drives the strategy and provides the decision points for you to adapt it to the real world.
Right. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And one of the greatest enemies of a high-tempo unit is task saturation, the point where an individual or a team simply hits an operational ceiling. What are the early warning signs an executive should look for that indicate that their team is redlining, and how do they restore clarity under pressure?
Task saturation really manifests in the modern workplace as a feeling of overwhelm, burnout, disengaged people, and the feeling that as a leader, I just have to do everything and I can't really rely on my team. And it's really manifested as a result of technology pushing us around. Like what you learn as a fighter pilot is just because the technology is telling you something doesn't always mean it's the right thing. It's a distraction. And in a world where we're distracted every 2 minutes, we create the task saturation that we live in. We blame the world, but ultimately we create it ourselves because we're not heading towards the light. which is our strategy. It's all over the place. We're not intentional about what we need to achieve each day. We focus on what I need to do, and doing without achieving is just wasted effort that ultimately creates this sense that I've got so much to do and not enough time to do it. And that is, by definition, task saturation.
I'm chatting with Boo from Afterburner. And Boo, we emphasize the stewardship of values frequently on this program. In your flawless leadership framework, you break down leadership into three core pillars: leading people, leading impact, and leading in the moment. How can a founder scaling a business ensure their cultural foundation isn't sacrificed for rapid operational growth?
Well, culture is really just the byproduct of how people behave. Like, culture is by definition collective behavior, which means that if you're building a business and you're a leader, people are going to behave the way that they see you behave, which is why leadership is so hard, which means you do have to find the moments in your day to show up as the best version of yourself. And that's why we define the 3 moments of leadership. People leadership is the slow, deliberate connective tissue of humanity, which means there's no technology in that layer. We're absolutely engaged with the other human being. Leading impact is the strategy to execution layer. And that's why we at Afterburner created the plan, brief, execute, debrief method. Plan collectively, brief to confirm understanding, execute without having meetings and just get the job done, and then debrief to assess whether what we did was what we intended, and if not, why not, and what's one thing we can do tomorrow. And leading now, or in the moment, is the leadership moment that most leaders are pulled down in today, into the weeds, the highly reactive, notification-driven, distraction layer, where leaders don't subsequently lead people very well because they're too busy and they're not thinking and they've reached their maximum cognitive bandwidth. And the reason they're busy and reactive is because they didn't do anything in the impact layer. They didn't create an executable strategy that can actually be delivered each and every day.
You have scaled a diverse array of massive commercial enterprises ranging from humanitarian logistics to high-rise real estate. What core component of the fighter pilot mindset did you rely on most heavily when stepping into industries where you had no prior legacy footprint?
Mission focus. I think that's what it boils down to. And the mission is to be helpful. So most businesses look through the lens of, this is what I want to achieve in my business, rather than this is what the people I serve want to achieve. So I think when you're a fighter pilot, you are used to working across, multiple agencies, with the Army, with the Navy, with intelligence services. So you're used to asking the question, well, what do you need? And that translated really neatly. Like, I'm in sales. I mean, that's really what I do for 21 years now. And often when you're an entrepreneur, you're selling stuff that doesn't even exist. So if people feel that you understand what their aspiration is and what's in the way, and this is what's really important, start with the aspiration, not the problem, and they feel confident in your ability to deliver it, you're a credible leader and you're a trustworthy person, then the business kind of looks after itself. So the really important element here for an entrepreneur and a business owner is get outside of your head and constantly look at the business from the outside in and be infinitely curious. The business growth just looks after itself if that's how you lead it.
Yeah. And so finally, for the leader driving home right now, who feels completely overwhelmed by the daily tactical fires of their business, what's one practical, immediate protocol that they could implement tomorrow morning to start controlling the tempo of their operations, rather than letting the operations control them?
When you wake up in the morning, burn your to-do list, put it in a wastebasket, and just put it on fire, and then replace it with a to-achieve list. And on that achieve list, put 3 things. The first thing is the heavy mental lifting, problem-solving work. What do you need to achieve there? The second is the team deliverable. And in the afternoon, that's your human moment. Create something you want to achieve within your team to create some sort of personal connection. And what happens there is you map across to the way that cognitive bandwidth fades throughout the day. You're freshest in the morning. You can focus. in the middle of the day, you can collaborate. And at the end of the day, you can connect. It's actually pretty simple, but it's that intentionality that I've observed is what's lacking in leaders.
I've been chatting with former fighter pilot turned high growth entrepreneur, author, and global authority on human and organizational performance, the CEO of Afterburner. It's been Boo. And Boo, I want to give the final word over to you. How can we get in touch with your team at Afterburner and keep following your important work?
Afterburner.com. It's that simple. Or find me on LinkedIn. My last name's Boucousis, Boucousis, and I'm the only one out there.
Yes, you are. Really appreciate your time. We'll link in the show notes, make it really easy for people to get in touch and continue following your important work. I've learned a lot in our conversation. We are going to be back in the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship when we return after a quick break. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Get Down to Business. Again, we'll be right back.